We're out and about and we're at the Sheppey Little Theatre and we're joined with Michael Palin. Michael, thank you very much for speaking to me. I was wondering if you could tell me how and why you become involved and chose this festival here on the Isle of Sheppey.
Well, I enjoy smaller festivals on the whole because I think a good festival has an intimate connection with the community where it takes place, and that's very, very important. When you get something like, a really big festival like Hay Festival, something like that, it's sort of like London transports itself out to a small village and plonks itself down, and you just meet people you'd meet in London. And I think the important thing about a festival like this is just for the people of the local area, for them to come and meet and talk to each other. I mean, I think having events is good, but it's only good if you bring local people to those events. And we've had a street party in our village, in our street in London, over the years, and sometimes there's been many reasons for not doing it again. It's hard to organise and all that, and yet whenever it happens, it's just great, and it just brings people in the community who may not speak to each other most of the year, brings them together and it gives them something in common, and I think that's very, very important. So I think small festivals are good. They're not as intimidating as the big ones, and I always enjoy going to them because people genuinely are really appreciative, and you go to places where they don't normally see celebrities in quotes or whatever, and I learn a lot and I hope they learn a lot as well.
It was a fantastic talk out there. I was just wondering if you could share with our listeners some of the highlights that you shared with us on your travels. What have been some of the best bits?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, the whole point of my talk was really to show there are lots of different buildings that represent different things and are important for different reasons. So you can get something like the Potala Palace in Lhasa in Tibet, which is just a huge building, dominates the city. It's a house built like a mountain, a building built like a mountain. And then you can find something very ordinary like the shanty town in the Philippines called Rio Hondo, built by people who have very, very little. They don't even have proper sanitation, they don't even proper electricity, but they're determined to make the best of what they can. So they built this house on stilts there. So I think that's really epic. I think some of the old building techniques like the Inca stones, the way that the Incas of Peru built walls in the most extraordinary strong walls that have survived 2 or 3 major earthquakes where a lot of the city's been destroyed, but never the Inca walls. Where are the Inca people now when we need them?
One of the things that fascinated me was the buildings made purely from mud.
Yeah, there's a lot of desert areas where they haven't got stone, they haven't got brick, they haven't got wood really, so they have to use what's around, and they use mud and sticks and stones, put them all together. And in Mali, in Central Africa, they've really created some quite beautiful buildings as a result. The mosque in Djenné, which is on the river, and also Timbuktu's got, as I showed today, some really very, very fine buildings, all made from mud, and they work. And they'll say they're very cool to live in very, very hot countries, and it's just people adapt to their surroundings so well, and that's what good building's all about.
Now, when we watch you on television, of course, we see your programmes, but there must be a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes just to be able to get to those places, and so that trip works out.
Yeah, oh yes, it's a huge planning effort. I mean, we don't have a lot of people. We have basically 2 directors, usually on each series, and they will have a location manager. And before we start the journey, we will have discussed where we're going to go, and then the director and the location manager will go out to the country and they'll have a look around and they'll meet various people who we can talk to. They'll check on whether the railways are worth filming and how we can get around the country best. Then they come back, then we discuss it, then we sort out the story. So yes, there has to be, we have to plan in advance, and also what's very, very important is we have to have good local fixers. They're absolutely vital. People who speak the language and people who can put us in touch with ordinary people in the country. We don't go and talk to politicians and stars much. We just really want to see how people live there.
Oh, but it's nice meeting local people, like you meet us here locally and you travel and meet local people. That must be one of the benefits or interests of doing what you do.
Yeah, no. I think that my journeys are really centred around the people I meet. We do have wonderful landscape and all that, but they wouldn't really work unless you had the people there and the characters, and you kind of introduce people at home to people they'd never normally meet. And because they'd say, well, we don't speak the language or a different religion or all that sort of thing. But there's not really much of a gap between us and most of the rest of the world. It's sort of self-imposed. We set ourselves kind of barriers against meeting people, and my job is to try and reduce those barriers.